This fiscal year, TSA has been shut down for 50% of the time, or 85 days. And if still shut down this Friday, we will have reached nearly $1 billion in missed paychecks. This level of disruption is unprecedented and unacceptable and significantly undermines the security of U.S. transportation systems. 95%, or more than 61,000 of TSA's employees must continue working without pay during a shutdown. Many in our workforce have missed bill payments, received eviction notices, had their cars repossessed and utilities shut off, lost their childcare, defaulted on loans, damaged their credit line, and drained their retirement savings. Some are sleeping in their cars, selling their blood and plasma, and taking on second jobs to make ends meet, all while being expected to perform at the highest level when in uniform to protect the traveling public. A transportation security officer at Reagan National Airport recently said, "I just want Congress to pay me for the job I am doing." We have already lost over 480 TSOs this shutdown, and our call-out rates have accelerated as our workforce was still reeling from the last shutdown.
A billion missed payments. Cars are getting repossessed. People are getting put out of their homes. Pray for the government workers. That's all we can do right now. And this is the thing, only 480 people quit. It would be more if the people that are currently working still could find jobs. They can't even find jobs, I bet you that. The other people, yeah, they might have knew how to make some money on the side, pick up gig work or do something to make some money. Maybe they had a connection. Somebody said, yeah, you can work for me.
Next guests will now have to choose between showing up to work or feeding. Next guests will now have to choose between showing up to work or feeding their young kids. Oksana and Duran Kelly are married and have been TSA officers for about a decade now. And this shutdown is impacting their entire family. Neither one of them is getting paid, but they still have to show up to work, even though it's not paying the bills. And they're worried about rent, food, and now their son's 7th birthday. It's today, and they wanted to take him to a trampoline park, but sadly, they say they can't afford to do that. Oksana and Duran Kelly join me now from Orlando. Boy, Oksana, let me start with you, Mom. How did you explain to your son that you can't celebrate his birthday the way he wants to, and how did that go over?
I think during the shutdown, this is probably the hardest thing I have to do. Sorry, I was not planning on crying at all. I think having to explain to him that mommy and daddy go to work, but not bringing any money in. And, you know, he's been asking about birthday trampoline park for probably since his last birthday. And, you know, he was getting excited and he's like, is this something we're doing? And we're like, sorry, buddy, you know, this birthday is going to be at the community park because mommy and daddy can't afford trampoline park. So, you know, it's just a hard decision to make between paying bills or, you know, doing a birthday party for your children.
And Duran, you actually have 2 kids. How did you talk to both your children about this?
Well, Phoenix, he's 7, so he's a little bit more understanding of the situation. He knows that mommy and daddy have to go to work, and right now we can't do all the extra things that we like to do for him, like taking him to basketball games and stuff like that. So he's understanding, but Adonis, the youngest one, he doesn't fully understand what's going on. He just knows that I'm telling him a lot more no's than yes. And it's a little frustrating for him.
That's tragic for them. Very tragic for them. They both are TSA workers. Maybe they met at the job or just so happen to both work in the same industry. It's bad when one person in the household is not getting paid, but when both aren't getting paid, what can you do? They're stuck right now without options.
So I work for the government, I work for TSA, and I had to get a part-time, so I don't mind this uniform. But I'm just trying to see if I can get a sponsor. Anybody want to sponsor me? Anybody got a little bit of money that want to sponsor me until this shutdown is over?
My last paycheck was $4.27, and I laughed because I thought to myself, $4.27 won't even cover a gallon of gas to put in my car. TSA agents are considered essential employees. Therefore, we are legally required to report for duty whether there's a shutdown or not. And so we still have to come and show up and do our jobs, whether we're being paid. This kind of instability with our pay is something that not only will trickle down into the airport, but it trickles down into our lives with our homes and our families. It has impacted my ability to pay my bills because we're literally not getting paid. I personally have had to make the difficult decision whether to put gas in my car to go to an unpaid job or to pay my light bill so that I can warm my house at night. I've also had to sacrifice my pride to ask family and others for assistance. My mother, for example, had to give me money so that I can pick up my medication, which is something that's essential. If the shutdown continues, the damage is going to be insurmountable. We have had 3 months to recover from 3 shutdowns in 5 months. I believe that it's going to take a financial, an emotional, and a mental exhaustion on TSA agents, one that will take a long time for us to recover from.
So apparently the internet thinks I'm AI, which is funny because the last time I checked, AI doesn't work 40 hours a week during a government shutdown and get $4.27 as a paycheck. I am a real person. My name is Cherie Quick. I work, I pay bills, I'm tired, I'm stressed, and I did a bunch of interviews talking about a lot of what federal workers are going through right now. I think people just aren't used to regular people being on the news, so when they see someone who speaks clearly, they assume it's fake. But no, I'm a very real person. I'm very human, and I am very tired. However, I do appreciate everyone who's been supportive, and I just wanted to clear that up because I've never been called AI before.
I ain't gonna lie, on the one Business Insider posted, they did kind of have her looking like AI. Now look, it got so bad at the Atlanta airport, Tyler Perry tried to donate $100,000 to unpaid TSA workers. They blocked that. They said they can't accept it. He's not allowed to donate to them. As I was filming this video, Trump signed a new executive order to make sure TSA workers are paid. This is what the news is reporting. Now, this is Trump we talking about. He could go on and be like, look, I'm not paying nobody, like he did the first time. So, hey, man, I guess the TSA workers going to get paid, but we won't believe it until they get those checks hitting their bank accounts, direct deposit.
We got good news and bad news. Good news for those TSA lines is that President Trump has gone ahead and signed an executive order that will allow TSA agents to be paid. This is not using anything that Congress has done, just current funding that the White House has. And so that should be implemented. Hopefully start seeing the impacts of that soon, which is good because the bad news is that Congress does not seem any closer to ending this shutdown and fully funding the Department of Homeland Security, which, remember, that includes FEMA, that includes the Coast Guard, that includes cybersecurity. All of those could remain unfunded now for potentially weeks, and that's because the House has rejected the plan that the Senate passed earlier today. Instead, they are going to put forward and likely before the end of today vote on a stopgap measure that would keep the Department of Homeland Security fully funded through May 22nd to give them more time to work on a deal. However, while that might be able to get through in the House, Senator Chuck Schumer has said it is dead on arrival in the Senate. Remember, senators are gone. They have left Washington, D.C. They could be called back, but even if they are, there's not the votes needed to actually pass this plan that Republicans have come up with. So at this point, it's just not clear exactly what the solution is to this shutdown. There was a lot of optimism this morning that the Senate had a breakthrough, but at this point, the House has said that they cannot go forward on it. Listen to what Speaker Mike Johnson said about the Senate proposal just a few minutes ago.
The Republicans are not going to be a party to this. They have taken hostage the funding processes of government so that they can impose their radical agenda on the American people when we can't have any part of it. This gambit that was done last night is a joke.
Scott, we'll keep following this issue. We'll see if lawmakers are going to be going on their scheduled 2-week recess or if all of them wind up back in D.C. continuing to work on finding a solution here.
As always, drop a comment below. Let me know what y'all think about this video and what's been said, especially right there at the end. All right, I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace to my Hebrew fam. Shalom.